Hi everybody, this is Greg Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the photo of the week on the Daily Critique. This week's photo of the week was submitted by April, who is an advanced photographer from Illinois. April submitted this image as part of the Mindful Eye's Community Assignment number 18, and the assignment was the word shadow. And just a really beautiful job of working with that concept in this photograph. I'm going to come over here and look at my email program so I can give you the backstory and information on this image. April shot this image with a Nikon D300 effective focal length of 123 millimeters. Exposure information is ISO 200 and f8 in 1/10 of a second. To me, the most interesting backstory information here is the lighting setup. April, from what I understand, has a subject that is similar to the main subject here in another vase behind this piece of parchment paper, and that subject is backlit, throwing this pattern of the shadows onto the paper. And then for front lighting, she's hand holding a light and bouncing that off of a piece of foam core, and that's front lighting the subject. And so let's just talk about this lighting setup for a minute. One of the things that's so powerful to me about the image is I first look at it, and we're used to seeing shadows connected to a subject that is getting some form of light that's projecting the shadows. So we see the shadow, and then we see the thing that's causing the shadow. So just very powerful right away in this image to look, and for this to obviously be the same subject and to be the same shape, so there's a connection. But pretty quickly you go, well, there's no way that these shadows could be coming from this subject. And it makes me think about an area of the image that's even beyond the parchment paper. It really draws me all the way through all these subjects and ask a beautiful question. That's really powerful. The other thing that I love about the lighting, it's very subtle, but when you look at the lighting that April has chosen for her front light, she's creating really beautiful dimension. You see the light coming in here, and then you see this really beautiful shadow over here that creates a lot of form. And you continue to see that movement, very subtle here. You see just a little bit of a shadow here. You can continue to see that movement subtle in here of dimensional lighting on this as a subject that helps to give it more form and depth. One of the things that April mentioned about trying to create the shadows in the background was choosing the parchment paper for the fact that it was textured, and that would create another layer of information. And I just love how the texture of the parchment paper makes the background a lot more interesting, and to me ties the background in another way together with the texture of these subjects. The other thing that I just love about this image is the placement of this subject relative to the shadows that have been projected. So there's this stunning sort of visual unity in terms of implied energy. Yes, there's a really beautiful series of contouring lines that are very elegant and very whimsical and very beautiful, but I also think a lot about the implication of energy moving from one subject to the other and how that creates sort of an overlay or grid of energy that's either dynamic and sort of works or doesn't. And this is what I'm talking about. If you connect the dots on these subjects that are similar, you get this really beautiful feeling of something that's lyrical, like a musical score, or the diagram of the amplitude of a wave form. Things that really resonate with us at just the basic level of energy. And then you're seeing the implication of this really beautiful semicircle of the seed heads, the real seed head and then the shadow of the seed heads. And it's also just beautiful, just the simplicity of sort of two kind of arcing lines that are rhyming each other. And then you have the juxtaposition of a real hard line, and I just love the way this comes up in a very whimsical and lyrical way and breaks that line, but then it still ties together in a way that's dynamic with the background. Another thing that I love about this image is there's a lot of a sense of kind of a fine sandpapery kind of texture, and then showing just a little bit of the vase here and playing not only the smooth of the glass off of sort of this feeling of sandpaper texture, but playing a geometrical shape, sort of a man-made geometry off of things that are much more sort of natural and meandering. That's a really powerful visual construct that you see quite a bit in cinema, and boy, does it just sort of work over and over and over again. And you're seeing that here. Last thing that I'll say about this image, it had such an impact on me, and so much of the time an image that has that kind of impact is working on so many different levels, and a lot of times the final level is the level of archetype, suggestions of other things that we're all aware of. I've already sort of hinted at that with the idea of the lyrical movement, but if I move back from this image and try to just start to really look at it in an overall way, then I start to see a hand here, sort of the fingers, or a claw, or a bear track, or something that really resonates with the idea of a foot or a hand. And the other thing that I see if I get back is just the idea of a couple of eyes, and then horns or ears, or just the implication of sort of the shape of a face. And I think those types of archetypes are very powerful. Stunning image. I want to show you one other image that was submitted for the shadow assignment. This one comes from Kurt, who's a beginning photographer from Minnesota. Kurt's funny backstory here. He says that he couldn't get his dogs to pose long enough, so he did a handheld self-portrait. And I just really love the way Kurt is working with the real strong light, high contrast light coming through blinds in his house. And I love the intensity of the gaze here. Really love the unconventional cropping, and I love the playing sort of the dynamic scenario here of a little bit of the face and then a lot of this real high contrast, just playing this whole shadow area in high contrast back and forth off of Kurt as the portrait subject. I also love what's happening with the color here, just the green of the eyes, and then the green and the shadows over here, and also the high contrast shape here and how that plays off of high contrast here, but also this triangle in the corner. Those two things to me play in a very powerful way. And I just love the idea of self-portrait. I've talked about it quite a bit on the Mindful Eye. I think it's a really great way to affirm ourselves, put ourselves into the story of our pictures, and it gives us a chance to be more conceptual, and we're always willing to sort of be a character in the story of our pictures. Really beautiful self-portrait, great use of high contrast and hard light here. Just love the still life from April. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for being here and being a part of the Mindful Eye. Hope you have a great weekend, and hope to see you again real soon on the Mindful Eye. And I guess I should say happy holidays. I'm recording this before before Christmas, and just remembering that this will post on Christmas Day, so we'll try and get something else up on the site that maybe is a white Christmas picture, or something that connects to Christmas in a little bit more of a direct way. But just happy holidays, and hope that you're having a really beautiful, peaceful, joyful holiday season. Thanks, everybody.